On this day in history, April 13th, 1111, Henry V is crowned Holy Roman Emperor. Included in the following is an excerpt from the 1944 edition of the Encyclopaedia Britannica going over the history of Henry. Henry V, born 1081, died 1125. Roman Emperor, son of the Emperor Henry IV, was born on January 8, 1081, and after the deposition of his elder brother, the German King Conrad, died 1101, was chosen as his successor in 1098. In spite of his oath to take no part in the business of the empire during his father's lifetime, Henry was induced by his father's enemies to revolt in 1104, and some of the princes did homage to him at Mainz in January 1106. In August of the same year, the elder Henry died, and his son became sole ruler. In 1107, a campaign to restore Bolshevik II to the Dukedom of Bohemia was partially successful, and in the year following, the king led his forces into Hungary, where he failed to take Pressburg. In 1109, he was unable to compel the Poles to renew their accustomed tribute, but in 1110 he succeeded in securing the Dukedom of Bohemia from Ladislaus I. The main interest of Henry's reign centers in the controversy over lay investiture, which had been thrice prohibited by Pascal II. In 1110, Henry went to Italy with a large army, and at Sutri concluded an arrangement with Pascal by which he renounced the right of investiture in return for a promise of coronation, and the restoration to the empire of all the lands given by kings or emperors to the German Church since the time of Charlemagne. The king presented himself at St. Peter's on February 12, 1111, for his coronation and the ratification of the treaty. The words commanding the clergy to restore the fiefs of the crown to Henry were read amid a tumult of indignation, whereupon the Pope refused to crown the king, who in turn declined to renounce the right of investiture. Henry then left the city carrying the Pope with him, and Pascal's failure to obtain assistance drew from him a confirmation of the king's right of investiture and a promise to crown him emperor. In 1112, Lothair, Duke of Saxony, rose against Henry, but was easily quelled. In 1113, however, a quarrel over the succession to the counties of Weimar and Orlemund gave occasion for a fresh outbreak on the part of Lothair, whose troops were defeated at Warnstadt. Having been married in 1114 to Matilda, or Maud, daughter of Henry I of England, the emperor was confronted with a further rising initiated by the citizens of Cologne, who were soon joined by Saxons and others. Henry's forces were defeated at Helvoetsluis in 1115, and complications in Italy compelled him to leave Germany to the care of Frederick II of Hohenstaufen, Duke of Swabia, and his brother Conrad. After the departure of Henry from Rome in 1111, a council declared the privilege of lay investiture, which had been extorted from Pascal, to be invalid, and Guido, Archbishop of Vienna, excommunicated the emperor, but the Pope refused to ratify this sentence. The quarrel entered upon a new stage in 1115 when Matilda, daughter and heiress of Boniface, Margrave of Tuscany, died, leaving her vast estates to the papacy. Crossing the Alps in 1116, Henry took possession of Matilda's lands. By this time, Pascal had withdrawn his consent to lay investiture, and the excommunication had been published. The Pope was compelled to fly, and the Emperor was crowned a second time by Berdinus, Archbishop of Braga. Pascal was succeeded by Gelasius II in January 1118, but Henry secured the election of an antipope who took the name of Gregory VIII. Finally, in the Concordat of Worms, September 1122, Henry renounced the right of investiture with ring and crozier, recognized the freedom of election of the clergy, and promised to restore all church property. The new Pope, Calixtus II, agreed to allow elections to take place in presence of the imperial envoys, and the investiture with the scepter to be granted by the emperor as a symbol that the estates of the church were held under the crown. Henry was received again into the communion of the church, after he had abandoned his nominee Gregory to defeat. The emperor's concluding years were occupied with a campaign in Holland, and with a quarrel over the succession to the Margravate of Messine. In 1124 he led an expedition against King Louis VI of France, and turned his arms against the citizens of Worms. He died at Utrecht on May 23, 1125.